Any other questions? Raise your hands, please.
So, Mark Stahl with the Miami Times. This question is Coach Josh. Is this a full circle moment for you? I know you played in the 2001 Orange Bowl, so what's that experience that you had back then compared to today as a coach?
Yeah, my experience down here, great memories. Got a bunch of teammates that are actually going to be down here. A couple of them came into town last night, and we'll have an opportunity to, hopefully catch up with them today, but see them on the field on game day too. And great memories, from my playing career. When I think back to, my days at Oklahoma and some of the things that we accomplished, your mind obviously comes right here to this stadium and this bowl game. And Dabo was talking about just the bowl game experience in general. This is, these are opportunities and memories that you remember forever. And I've tried to share that with our football team, having played in this game. Just what this game means. The exposure that you have, the opportunity that you have. And, as you get further away from it, your bowl experience is something that you're going to come back to when you're with your brothers.
Jimmy Himes with the Sports Animal in Knoxville. Dabo, you've had a couple of players here that said that they appreciate you not hitting the transfer portal, that shows commitment and loyalty to those players. Is that why you don't hit the portal much?
We just haven't had to. I think it's been more, certainly I've always said, we're a developmental program. We always have been. And if you're constantly bringing guys in over the top of guys, that changes your culture. That's just part of it. And it also, you probably didn't evaluate well. But it's a different situation everywhere. It's very different. If I was just coming to Clemson right now, half my roster would be transfer portal. If I was just taking over a team and you got to win like yesterday, right? It's a different world than when I became the head coach. Very different in college football. And because if I was just named head coach at Clemson, probably half the guys would leave, right? And a lot of the fans would have gone in the portal too and left if you could do that. So that's just the reality. When Josh took over at Tennessee, I don't even, and thankfully they changed the rules for a guy, like a new guy coming in. I think you probably lost almost 40.
Might have been a year late in changing the rules.
Yeah, a year late, yeah. It was a year late, but it's because of maybe what he did. When you lose like 40 guys, how do you replace that? And then they say, okay, you can only bring in 25 initials, right? So, and then they changed the rules in college football to where guys can leave after spring practice. Well, who are you going to recruit in May? There is no high school kids to go recruit. So, my situation is just very different in that 14 years as the head coach, we've been very much an evaluation development program. And we've had a lot of guys that have become great players as redshirt sophomores, juniors, seniors. And, so the things have changed. And we just haven't really had to. We haven't really lost starters. The guys that have mostly left our program have been, first of all, graduates, most of them that just wanted a chance to play. And, or you've had some guys that maybe just needed a fresh start that was maybe a backup or whatever. So that's a good thing. That's not bad. It's created a different opportunity. And last spring, for example, what if we would have had 5, 6, 7, 8 guys pack up and leave? Well, you have to go to the portal. We didn't have anybody leave. So, you recruit your class, you have your roster, and you manage it from year to year. So at this point, we just haven't had to. We certainly could change a philosophy and do that. We've had the past 2 years, we really felt like we needed a veteran quarterback. So we got Hunter Johnson. Man, I'm glad we got Hunter Johnson right now. So we went and just added Paul Tyson because we believe in the guy that we have. We just signed another great one in Vizina. And so we needed an older guy that's been around. And we got a guy that's had 4 years of experience that really embraces the role. Because a lot of these guys, they're looking for certain things. That's why they're in the portal. So it's got to be a good fit on both sides. And so we've signed a couple of guys, and then we've had 3 or 4 guys that we have tried to recruit over the last year or so. It just hadn't worked out. We weren't the right fit for them for whatever reason. So things change. Again, we haven't had to do that. But what if this spring, again, we might have 5 guys, 7 guys pack up and say, hey, I'm out. So everybody has to deal with that. But again, where we are as a program, we just haven't been as impacted at this point.
Chapel Fowler with the State. Dabo, you mentioned earlier this month the pressure that comes with being a starting quarterback. Just, Cade, what have you seen from him these last few weeks as the guy that makes you so confident that, as you just said, he is the guy?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been great. It's been a blessing that he's had 2 or 3 weeks here to just kind of settle in and, lead. But he's really not any different. I mean, he's just a kid he's always on. He's always got a ton of energy. He loves to play. He loves to practice. I mean, he's just one of those guys that really loves the game. So he's embraced it, and he's done a great job with it. He's excited about it. He's worked really hard to get to this point and knows he has a huge challenge ahead. But just, a lot more comes with it that he's had to manage. But I think he's done a good job.
Back here, Coach. Vince Farrar, 99.1 The Sports Animal in Knoxville. One question for each of you. Dabo, you have a player from Knoxville, Catholic, and Brian Tucker. Can you talk about his development?
Yeah, he's one of those guys, developmentally, redshirt sophomore, kind of, in that process of growing and maturing into what we think he can be. Big, strong kid, great family. Has played a little bit on some special teams for us. He's starting on our field goal team there, and he's played a little bit at guard. He plays both guards. Like for him to learn to snap this spring. That's something that we'd like to see out of him as well. But, just a guy that's in that process of maturing and hopefully becoming a good player for us down the road.
And Josh, can you talk about the impact in recruiting a game like this, a stage like this, can have for your program?
Yeah, for sure. It's another opportunity for kids across the entire country to see the brand of football that you're playing, the culture that you have, by the way that you compete together. Throughout the course of this season, we've been able to show the proof of what this program is becoming and what's going on inside of our building and continuing to take steps forward to continuing to compete for championships. And when we first arrived, you were talking about it. A year ago, they saw a little bit of proof of it. They get a chance to see a whole lot more of who we are and what we're about and the exciting brand of football that we're going to play. We're going to be extremely aggressive on offense, but we're going to have that same mentality and attitude on the defensive side of the football and play that way on special teams too. So this is a great opportunity for Tennessee's brand, its logo, the university, to be in the forefront of the country, playing in one of the iconic bowl games in college football.
Todd Summers, WSPA TV. Coach Swinney, over the last decade, you've had Deshaun, Trevor, DJ all start as freshmen, either early on in their career or in the middle of their career. How is Cade's readiness as he gets ready for his first start at the end of his freshman season? And can you kind of compare where he is versus where those guys were when their number was called?
Yeah, probably more ready than they were, honestly, because those guys, he's had a little more time in the crock pot. Those guys were, had to be ready a little quicker. So, I think Cade is, he's had time to, I think he's still a work in progress, but he's had time to physically, first of all, get himself in a much better situation than he was when he got here at about 179 pounds. So he's almost 200, right at 200 pounds now. And so he's progressing physically, and so he's much better prepared there. And then, he's had a great example in DJ, and he'd be the first one to tell you DJ's one of the greatest preparers I've ever been around. And so he had a good model, to really see day in and day out. And, since January. So mentally he's been through, as opposed to maybe 2 or 3 games, or, to, bam, and here's your moment. He's had a lot of game plans. He's had a lot of corrections. He's had a lot of, weeks of practice and some experience to go with it, some good experience, some bad experience to prepare him. All those things, I think, have made him well prepared for this opportunity.
For both, we talked about the portal, and the portal has taken some, I guess, blame is the word, for the spots taken up, for fewer spots for high school recruits, where really it's just pieces moving. But is it not the extra COVID year? Has that had more of an impact for you guys on recruiting and roster setting, especially when it comes to bringing in like the high school players and taking some of those spots because of that extra year players are getting for the next 4 years, I guess?
Not really. I mean, there's a couple guys here or there. I think that's been fine. There's no question the portal affects the high school recruiting, because now coaches have a whole nother pool of recruits. They have freshmen, they have sophomores in college. You got thousands of kids that are in this thing that used to not exist. And so, and then you have the pressure to win right now. And so there's a lot that's going on, and it's really affected the high school recruiting. There's no doubt. A lot of these high school recruits are either not getting signed or being pushed down, or unfortunately sometimes, that portal opens up. Some of these guys that have maybe been committed a long time lose their opportunity.